Welcome to Big Brother Rewind. This is Sean,
And this is Chris.
and we are here for the very first time to discuss Big Brother. If you know Dadnarok, we this is the kind of thing we do. We do recap shows, after shows, we do trailer reactions, and all kinds of fun stuff on our channel. Be sure to check us out on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. A lot of activity on TikTok recently. But yeah, we've decided to watch Big Brother. You and I have been Big Brother fans for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, I was on it, I think, before you were, and then I kind of fell out of it.
Yeah.
And then I think you were continuing to watch it. And you know what? We're like, you know what? Let's go ahead and let's jump back on board. Let's go ahead and see what this is about and see if it's can be as fun as it was in the past.
Yeah, you and I are old. So when I say long time, I mean since like Big Brother season 2, season 3, like 20 years ago.
Yeah, you would just age just that's messed up. But
Yeah.
you know what? Let's jump into this. I mean, first and foremost is the cast. The cast is the biggest thing on the show. If the cast sucks, no matter what kind of twist and what they throw in front of us, the show's gonna suck.
Yeah,
So
and it's
what
really
what
hard to it's hard to tell. It's hard to get a gauge on that the first episode, especially an episode like this where that was so heavy on a competition wise. We
yeah,
got little video clips and snippets, but let's actually pull up the cast
let's take a
and
look
take a
at me
look.
here. So I mean, it's just kind of I mean, Terrence jumped at me. I was like, you know
Oh,
what?
hold
There's
on. Wait a second. There's somebody on here that wasn't on the show tonight. Do you see
who we
down
met?
there at the bottom? Marvin. Who the heck's Marvin?
Marvin. I'm missing. Oh yeah,
You're missing the joke.
I missed
So
Marvin.
I made this up last night, and it was about 10 p.m. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm ready for our premiere tomorrow night, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, I lay down in bed, I scroll on my phone, I pick up, or I look on my Facebook news feed, and I see that CBS put something out. Oh, Marvin has been, he won't be joining us this season. So instead, we now have Joseph.
Oh,
Joseph
so you
is
just played
that.
me. You knew what something was up, and you were playing me there. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I had to
Joseph
fix it.
Fitness Spot.
Yeah, there you go. So no Marvin for Big Brother 24, but we do have Joseph.
That's messed up. I did not even know you were in. See, no, you set me up for failure. That's wrong.
Anyway, you were starting to mention Terrence is somebody that you had your eye on.
Yeah, man, he's an old man like us. I mean, granted, he's
Yeah,
a DJ, but I mean,
right.
he's we ain't no DJs.
No,
But
he's
yeah.
got a cooler gig than us for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I thought Daniel was pretty cool too. I was like, you know, I think he said an Elvis impersonator,
Yeah.
in Vegas right now or whatever. You know, he tours. I was like, that's pretty cool too. But I didn't. There was one thing that stood out to me amongst all of them. There are a lot of smart people on this show, between lawyers, entrepreneurs. Yeah, it just making money on their own and not relying on other people. I'm like, man, it's crazy.
Yeah, Big Brother, especially the last, I don't know, 10 plus years or so, they've been kind of notorious for casting, I don't know, just people that are kind of like hanging around the LA area, like they're trying to be on reality TV, like they're professional, auditioners for
Well,
stuff like this.
who was the one guy? Was it Kyle? He was like, he makes videos with his mom, and he's like, I guess I'm an influencer or whatever. I was like,
Oh,
okay,
was he the ex-Mormon guy?
yes.
Okay.
And I thought he was fun. I mean, he just seems really
Yeah.
lighthearted and seems like he can have fun just kind of being goofy. So, but yeah, he was the one who's like, yeah, I guess I'm unemployed.
Yeah. I had a couple that stood out for me. I think Daniel actually was one that stood out for me too. He seems like a pretty chill dude. I think that can take you pretty far in the house. If
Yeah,
you're easy to live with, I think you can get at least a few weeks in there before getting booted out.
yeah.
Nicole, the professional chef on the yacht, she seemed pretty cool. And then who was another one that I was taking a look at here? Let's see, I lost my bearings. Oh, Pooch, the guy who won the boss
Yeah.
thing
The
this year.
backstage boss.
Yeah, he was a coach. He was giving me some he had a big kind of a deep voice and a Texas drawl like Matthew McConaughey or something.
Well, yeah. Well, what do you say? He has one master's and he's working on his second, and he looks like a pretty
Yeah,
boy. But I mean, that's what I mean. When they showed a coach, I'm like, okay, they got their kind of jock, because Big Brother has their formula. They're gonna have
right.
certain amount of people of all all ways of life to go ahead and fill in their boxes. And I thought for sure he was going to be that one that was like, okay, he's the jock or he's one of the jocks. But they show him, with the football coach deal, and they go ahead and then have him talk and say, I'm working on this masters and this man. I've already got this one here. I'm like, oh, okay, he's not just muscles.
Yeah. Yeah, that goes for a lot of this cast. I mean, they're kind of more than meets the eye. Even like Paloma was even like, "Hey, the people think I'm eye candy," and she was like, in her Baywatch getup, running on the beach or whatever.
Yeah,
But she's an entrepreneur, like doing her own thing, and she owns like I don't know, seems like 6 companies or something.
yeah. I'll say the
Like,
only one that's truly a bum would be Kyle, and he's the one I enjoy watching.
yeah, so pretty impressive so far with the cast. So like I said, it's always tough to gauge who's going to be a standout and how these people are going to bump up against each other this season. But so
Now,
far, so good.
is there anyone in this cast that you can say is going to be the pot stirrer? Is going to be the one that's going to cause the issues? And there's one that stood out to me and my wife Janessa.
Yeah.
Not for not really negatively, but I'm like, okay, she's going to cause an issue.
Is it Brittany?
No,
Oh,
Taylor.
okay.
I think
Oh,
Taylor.
Taylor.
I think
Really?
she's gonna be so strong-willed, because she even said within her promo, which she cut for herself,
Yeah.
is how she can put men in their own in line, because she
Oh,
had to be strong-willed to be in the business she's in. So I think her opinion of how she can handle men is gonna rub some people wrong.
well, must have rubbed you and Janessa the wrong way.
Yeah, I was like, okay, okay, let's see how that goes. But yeah, I
I
mean,
Well, the thing is about, like, these, intro videos, they're just, like they have to produce them to get them on here, and then a lot of the time, I would say majority of the time, once these people actually get in the house, they're, like, so different than what these little,
yeah.
video vignettes are. So, like I said, it's so early to tell on any of these folks, but we did talk about some of our standouts here.
Matt is interesting. Turner, the guy that rode around the
Yeah.
country, was in his van. Then now he owns like a rug shop that he makes stuff in. I mean, that I don't know, man. There's so many like characters in this. Michael, who's a
Yeah.
certified genius.
Right. Brittany was giving me weird vibes as far as just being kind of a offbeat person. Matt the same way, just like talking about their chakras and like she's a hypnotist or something?
Yeah, some like a psychic hypnotist or sometimes something like that. Yeah, something weird, something like
Yeah.
off. I'm like, man, that is just that's it's just odd.
Joseph, our replacement, I didn't get much of him as far as his personality or what he's doing in life, but they showed a lot of his pectoral muscles, that's for sure.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
if they had muscles, the guys had muscles, that was almost a requirement for them to have their shirts off for their promos.
yeah.
It was a must.
Uh, So there's gonna be some of that too, and it's funny with the competitions in Big Brother, like, a lot of it's, even the physical competitions, like especially the ones I'm thinking of with, like, the ones where they have to hang on to something for, like, all night long, whoever can hang on the longest, a lot of the time that goes to the person that has, like, the lightest build, like, the
Yeah. Oh yeah,
smallest frame.
muscle needs oxygen, and
Yeah.
it's not meant to be like an endurance thing like that.
So even though, you could have a buff dude or really in shape woman on the show, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're just going to run rampant through all of the competitions.
But they
Uh,
always seem to be the first targets.
yeah, because I think they're probably identified as the strongest
Just-
players. We got to get the strongest players out
Yeah.
first to eliminate the competition.
Yeah, and I really think the sneaky just off of first impressions, I think the sneaky ones are gonna be like Matt, Michael. I think Brittany could be a
Yeah.
sneaky one. I mean, they're just ones that that may not stand out in the crowd, and if they're back, a level or two, they're the ones to be wary of.
Yeah, I'm actually a little weary of Indy because of her coming from Brazil, maybe having a bit of a language barrier too. She has a bunch of like energy and stuff, and it seems like good energy, but I
Is
don't
it
know if that's
yeah.
going to, have some sort of a hindrance to actually, getting to know people. And once they're all in the house and having those initial conversations,
Is it gonna
um,
stand in her way? Like, is that language barrier actually gonna hurt her more than
yeah.
anything?
But we'll see how this thing goes. What do you think of I mean, as far as the layout, like we mentioned, it was a 90-minute episode. We got these little video vignettes, a little introductory thing. But really the majority of the show was just this competition, just seeing who's not only going to be head of household, but who's going to be the boss, the backstage boss.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, no. Now, see that to me, I think that whole thing was staged. Those tickets meant nothing.
Yeah.
They were a prop to get to where they needed to go. All their names were already put in, what competition that they were going to go ahead and, you know, uh, compete in, and they knew
Yeah.
Pooch was going to be the backstage boss.
That was really kinda strange, like, why wouldn't you just have, like, envelopes that they would open up or something? If they were really, like, picking instead of putting in some prop ticket and then your choice being, on the big screen behind them, that's so obviously you could just so obviously put whatever you wanted up there on the screen, so,
Yeah, well, even
uh
Julie knew the response, the answer before it even showed for us.
right,
So it's like she knew before we did, which told me that the backstage boss I thought for sure was gonna be the last person, but
right,
Pooch was like the second to last person, went ahead and then he got it. But
yeah.
that's something, guys. Before we actually dig too far into this competition here, if this is your first time joining us, thanks for joining us. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you know when we go live. Go ahead and do these. We're going to be doing them on eviction night, 30 minutes afterwards every week. So we found out tonight eviction night is Thursday nights. So 30 minutes after eviction night, we will be on here, going ahead and talking everything Big Brother that has happened a week before: alliances, evictions, vetoes, uh, head of
All the
household,
fights.
fights, yes, all of the
Yeah,
above here. Who's had too many beers and who's trying to flex too much. We'll be
right.
talking all that, but let's go ahead and dig into this one here. This was this was interesting because I feel like there was three completely different types of competitions between the merch store, the Porta Johns, and the piercing tent.
Yeah, which I liked because it kind of offered up the 3 different, types of competitions that you generally see. They're all kind of variations of these things, where one's like a speed, like putting a puzzle together, like the final one,
Yeah,
which is kinda similar to, putting the piercings on your face. It's, like, all about how fast you can do something. And then there's the other one, which is a total mental competition, the porta potty one,
yeah, that was the most
which
fun one to watch.
that was I was really engaged with that one because those that blue liquid was like it was
Oh, when it
intense.
first fired, oh, who
Yeah,
hit Paloma? I think it was first.
yeah.
And it was like when you didn't know what was coming. Like I thought something was gonna drop. I hadn't expected to fire up from underneath too. There was no getting away from this.
Poor Jasmine, she was the second one to get hit, and I swear it must have went up her nose because she was just it looked like she was struggling to breathe after those first few seconds
Well, then she
of
had
getting
that
hit.
very expensive looking like jacket and like dress on.
Yes,
So it's
totally
like,
ruined.
so yeah, what I was thinking was like, who was gonna pay the dry cleaning bill? Because I think it was Kyle. I think he
Right.
had something on that was really nice. So everyone's wearing these really nice clothes, which I'm pretty sure they're not gonna let get ruined. They're gonna go ahead and dry clean them for him. But I'm
Well,
like,
hopefully it was on loan from CBS. I mean, I assume, they were probably provided some nice clothes for the premiere.
for the
I'm
premiere.
hoping anyway. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe, who knows?
But, yeah,
Um,
that first one, was fun to watch, and then seeing Monty actually win it, I'm like, "Okay." He went through and
mhm.
he won it because he hit did you notice he hit the 3 before it was done talking? Like, he
Uh,
actually
he did hit it quick, and I know that Kyle, like, knew that he was out because I think he heard Monty hit it first, and he knew. He, like, braced himself. He went
he
like
just kinda up in the fetal position like, "Oh, I'm gonna get
Yeah.
it."
And all of them got hit, but yeah, the W goes to, Monty, for sure in that one. That was the most fun.
Yeah.
The second one, the piercing one, we had who'd we have? We had Taylor, Brittany, Turner, and Joseph. Turner ended up being the winner of that one.
Yeah, Turner won that
Um,
one there.
the camera pretty much only focused on Turner the entire time. I didn't really get a sense of who was putting on what, maybe because he took the lead early and had all that stuff on his
Yeah,
face.
he probably went so quick, and he was on it
Yeah.
on from the get-go, and they were like, he was so far ahead, it was like, "There's no way he's gonna lose."
Yeah, and the same thing kinda happened with Daniel too, as far as putting that drum, puzzle together, like, he was way ahead of the other 2 guys.
Yeah, well, I mean, we
Um
kinda buried the lead. Daniel went ahead and won the merch, when they were
Yeah.
hanging from the shirts. Now, I didn't think personally, I think he was gonna win. I thought it was gonna go ahead and be, who's it, who is she? I thought it was gonna be, Amira.
Oh, okay.
I thought she was gonna win it for that same reason that you already talked about, the big muscle guys have a
Yeah.
harder time. The way she was hanging was so, like, easily, and, like, her facial expression, like, she wasn't struggling at all. So I thought for
Mhm.
sure she was gonna go ahead and win it. So when she dropped, but Daniel was then struggling. You see him kind of adjust himself a few times, and when he did adjust himself and he managed to go ahead and stay on and win, I was a little shocked.
Yeah, he was, they all went pretty quickly one after the other, 'cause didn't they all hop on there? Wasn't there a commercial break, like, right after? And then when they came back, like, they were started dropping like flies at that
Oh, yeah, they
point.
weren't up there long, no. They
Yeah.
fell relatively quickly.
Yeah, and some right after the other. I think some of them may have been throwing that comp,
Oh, yeah,
like
no, I wouldn't have. If I was, Daniel, I would have dropped. I
yeah.
don't I don't wanna be head of household out the gate. I want nothing to do with that. I mean,
What
can
do you
come to
think,
find out, I don't wanna
Pooch
be a
was
backstage boss either, screw that.
I know, that was a kind of a horrendous, a thing that they put I'm like yeah, so we can so all those competitions were cool. We got winners, and out of the 3 winners between Monty, Daniel, and Turner, we're gonna decide who the actual first head of household is gonna be. But at this point too, they also mentioned kind of what this, backstage boss role is gonna be for
Yeah.
Pooch this first, week, and Julie goes over it, and it's a lot of perks, but a lot of hindrances too.
Oh, yeah, right out the gate for him, it's awesome
Yeah,
because he's safe the first week, but yet he doesn't get to compete in anything, but he's safe, so you don't have to worry about it. The curveball they hit him with at the end, though, after
yeah,
Daniel won the head of household, and she's like, "Okay, well, you get to pick 3 more people that have backstage access with you, but don't have the luxury of the actual, protection."
yeah, being safe. So Pooch gets to spend his entire week just like getting to know people, doing the whole like he could just relax. And then he's got to pick 3 people to kind of give these disadvantages to not being able to do comps or vote. And they don't have the same amount of safety. So it's like that's already he's like forced to be in a position where he's putting targets on people almost.
I
And
am
he was so apologetic too. Each girl he called up there, he was like, "I'm so sorry."
Yeah, he went by I mean, the only thing he had to go by in that short period of time is just who basically lost first in all the competitions. Now I don't
Yeah.
know how he picked Brittany. He just picked Brittany just, I think, randomly.
Well, I think it was because in that ear piercing or that piercing competition, there really wasn't a first person to go out. Like it was kind of tough to, that's what
Yeah.
he was struggling with. You can definitely, there's a clear first person to go out with the other ones, but not with that one.
No,
Yeah, me personally, if I was in his position, I probably would have picked a random guy that was in that competition just to seem fair. It's probably not a good look to nominate 3 women up front for that.
well, hear me out
Um,
on this. I think he missed an opportunity.
Oh, what do you mean?
I think he coulda went ahead and he may still do it with the 3 women, but if he woulda nominated a guy or 2, and then
Mhm.
maybe a woman as well, and they coulda went ahead and he coulda talked and figured out a way to form the first alliance.
Mm.
Those 3 right there, so knowing that they can't compete and he can't compete. Now he is their fate is in his hands. So now he's trying to go ahead and form those 3 together and bring a couple others and try to put a target on someone else. So when they have the ability to vote, now they have those 4 are tight, and maybe you can bring in 1 or 2, and then you have a nice amount of people voting with you.
Yeah, there's definitely a way to spin that first week, especially, you probably would wanna gravitate towards the guy that has safety, but I don't think Joseph can even vote in the eviction, so it's kinda hard because that transition period between week 1 to week 2, you're giving up a lot of power. I mean, they at that point, they can all play for the, 2nd week head of household, but when it
Why
comes to
why can't
voting,
Joseph
they're
vote?
because I think that was a stipulation of the, being in his position, backstage boss, was that he's not allowed to vote,
Oh, you mean
for
Pooch.
for yeah, that's who I meant. Well, who did I say?
You said Joseph. I'm like, "You what, huh? Did he is
Oh,
he
I
is"
said Joseph. Yeah, because his name is Joe, like Joe, and his nickname is Pooch.
Well,
So
when
now
they
that they have
said
a Joseph
Turner,
in here,
I thought they said Hooch instead of Pooch. I was like, Turner and Hooch, what?
hey, they should have that should be the alliance, Turner
Ye
and Pooch.
yes. That's great.
But yeah, kind of an awesome, start to the night here. What do you think? I mean, I wouldn't have wanted been Pooch just sitting up there the entire time. He was also isolated from everybody because
Yes.
everybody had the chance to like kind of like be close and be on teams and kind of talk to one another, and he's just sitting in this golden throne up top. I
Yeah,
wouldn't want that.
yeah, those 3 different groups of 5. So
Yeah,
they're sitting there and they're talking, and those groups of 5 are actually, getting to know each other a little bit, and then, like you said, he's completely isolated up and above, so he didn't even have the ability to do that. So, yeah, no, that sucked. That I
yeah.
mean, that would have been really bad.
So he does end up picking Brittany, Paloma, and Alyssa. Oh, and then Julie mentions that actually America has the chance to vote one of these three women safety, which is kind of the first. I did hear some chatter before the season started that America's going to have some influence this season with some hotline kind of stuff. And I mean, I guess so because they're already dropping at week one. So I guess maybe this season will have quite a bit of instances of
That's
that.
fun. If the more they can have the audience interact, like, definitely in a situation like this where they think, they could be screwed at the gate, so they're trying to figure
Yeah.
out something, and they find out that they're safe. I wonder how long they're gonna make them wait. I wonder if they're gonna make them wait till Thursday when it actually is eviction night.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe that would be just before telling them that they're safe? Yeah.
Yeah. So if
Just make them sweat.
say for instance one of them is nominated and Julie comes on and says, Paloma, yeah, America voted and you are actually safe. Uh, Daniel, you have to pick a replacement, like, on the spot.
Right.
And
That would be intense.
yeah, that'd be, man, that's when I would hate to be Daniel because now you didn't in theory backdoor somebody, but you
Right.
just really hurt them.
I do like this premiere overall because a lot of the times in these the season premieres, you'll almost see the alliances form right in front of you. Like I think one season that comes to mind, there were like the jocks, then the nerds, then the freaks or whatever. And the way that they separate them initially in the first episode, sometimes it falls right in line with who teams up in alliances going further in the next, the rest of the first week, the second week, the third week, and it really kind of influences the rest of the season, honestly, that first episode just by
Yeah.
pairing up people.
Well, this one here,
Um,
they weren't even picking beds. That caught
right.
my eye because typically what I'm used to them doing is them bringing their bag in, throwing a bag on a bed, and kind of forming it from that point on. As
Yeah.
far as we know, they haven't even picked their sleeping arrangements yet.
Yeah, and I don't think anything transpired tonight that would really solidify people as being, in a group together. I mean, there were the different, festival things, the different hotspots, the porta potty and stuff, and how they came in with. But I think they made it a point to like mix them up from the get go in this thing, and really
Yeah,
not have anything solid going into that first night. Like now that they're all in the house, they can all talk to each other separately and engage each other individually, and not be immediately paired up with people.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, yeah, I like that idea. I like that fact that you're right. We ended tonight without knowing what things are going to look like going forward.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I thought that was pretty cool. And something else, I mean, wrapping this kind of putting a good bow on it. I've never been a Big Brother Live person. I never went ahead and purchased the extra,
The
service.
feeds, yeah.
Apparently, it's on Paramount Plus. If you have Paramount Plus, you have the Big Brother Live feeds,
Yeah,
which
and
I'm
they're
like,
starting, 9 o'clock Pacific time tonight, so that's midnight our time tonight.
yeah. So I'm like, you know what? I may check them out periodically because, I mean, why not? If I have the feeds and we're doing this, we need something to talk about.
You can get lost in those, I've checked them out before, they actually did them on Paramount Plus last year, I think, too, and,
Well, I used to watch them back when they were on Showtime, when there was no
yes,
editing. It was full bore language,
right,
everything, and it was entertaining to watch. When they changed it to they had another type setup they were doing it on, and they were very careful, and they were editing, and they were like live editing, so it was delayed, and they were switching real quick, and they were
yes.
eliminating a lot of things that like an uncut version would give you.
Yeah, they do cut away a lot more often now at times, especially if they're talking about production or about gameplay. They get real sketchy. Even just talking about personal stuff, you start mentioning people by name or something, they cut away right away. So it kind of hinders getting the dirt and the juice on some of these folks. But it is still a fun watch, and if you already have Paramount Plus, then I would say definitely it's worth checking out.
And we're not even sponsored. Come on, Paramount, help us out.
Yeah, come on, yeah. So overall, what'd you think of this premiere?
I enjoyed it. I mean, it was everything I was hoping. I mean, even the visuals, like the main stage where Julie was standing, and looked great. Uh,
Yeah.
like I said, I've been out of the Big Brother game for a few years, so just watching them walk in the house, watching them walk into the backyard, it just had a lot of nostalgia factor for me as well. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to watching this and getting on here and complaining about certain people because they're pissing me off.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it. I mean, this is kind of just an awkward show because we don't know these people just yet. But as we go here week to week, we're gonna be doing our recaps every eviction night, which is Thursday nights. We'll hop on here a half hour after the end of the show. We'll discuss the week in Big Brother. Who really messed up their game, who's doing a great job, that kind of thing.
So, what you guys need to do, like we said before, to make sure you don't miss anything, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I don't know if anyone hits the bell because I don't hit the bell, but you can if you want to.
Yeah,
Um,
why not?
just to go ahead and let you know when we are going live. So we always schedule it in the middle of the day, just so you guys know where the feed is. But like Sean was saying, 30 minutes after the live broadcast, we will be here. We'll be talking everything Big Brother. And what do you say? We want to call it a wrap for the night?
Yeah, we will definitely be back next Thursday night after the first eviction.
Okay, so like Julie says, we can expect the unexpected.
See ya.